Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. So doing CFS 6 months look ahead for today's second video. It's going to take us, as the name implies on the tin, it's going to take us 6 months ahead with the CFS V2. We're going to go from next month, from March, and it's going to take us all the way through to August 2018, can you believe? So to cover the full spring and summer coming up. It's just for fun. I mean, the first month or two does have some scientific merit, so sort of March, April, if the model is working correctly, hopefully, it doesn't always pan out even for those months, months 1 and 2, but hopefully if the model is working correctly, there will be some scientific merit in the first couple of months. As you get through to 3, 4, 5 and 6 months away, it's too far away to have any sort of certainty about it, really. It's just a snapshot of what the model is showing at this point. The charts are there, so you might as well look at them, but big pinch of salt is always required whenever you're doing any forecast beyond sort of 5 to 10 days, really. But particularly when you're doing seasonal and long-range forecasts, and this is really pushing the envelope going sort of 6 months away. So the charts are there, we look at them, have a laugh at them, but we don't necessarily take it too seriously, except for months 1 and 2. So that's what we'll do for this second video here at website. Just say that earlier on today we released a weekend forecast. Pretty interesting forecast as well, I think. So you can find the video chat here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a little bit and it's above the snow desk. And there's also a written version. You get to that from buttons at the top of the page. I've got a real tickle in my throat tonight, so I'm going to try not to cough too much, but hope you bear with me. I may have to stop and have a drink of water and have a little cough at some point. So let's start off with 700 millibar height anomaly flowcharts, and then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with these heights. We're starting with the 700 millibar height anomaly for March. As I say, if everything's working correctly, this is the most reliable, excuse me, out of all of these charts. So, as ever with the height anomaly flow chart, red is extrapolating to high pressure and blue to low pressure. What CFS V2 is showing for March is that we've got a big blocking feature to our north, so around Greenland, and also extending down towards Newfoundland. And then we've got below average heights underneath it, running through central Atlantic. So it implies that the jet stream is on a southerly track. We're on the cold side of the jet stream there. And via this blocking, we could be entrenching some really quite cold air into these troughs of low pressure. So we're on the cold side of the jet, got a blocking feature. That looks like it should be potentially really quite a cold month in March. Cold and wintry perhaps for the start of spring. We go through to month 2, which is April, and we find we lose the blocking signal, so we replace it with below average heights around Greenland, above average heights to our southwest, excuse me, again, and also extending to the northeast of the country. The flow and the jet stream is coming northwards. There's a bit of a weakness within that ridge. So the flow is kind of through the country. It's probably not quite as good a month as you might think from that anomaly on its own. The placement of the jet stream is rather complicated, but I think there could be some quite unsettled weather in there at times. But the main thing is that we lose a block, so it's not as cold in April. We find the temperatures returning much more to what you would expect, I would have thought, in the spring. Now this is May, this is month 3, so of course confidence is starting to fall away quite markedly now. This is May 2018, and this one looks rather odd. We've got above average heights generally out in the middle of the Atlantic and down to our southwest. Otherwise, not much else going on. Presumably, the jet stream would be doing something a little bit like that. So, I'm not sure about May at all, really. Very weak signals. It's a very strange looking chart, but I would have thought probably quite an unsettled month again in May. And I wouldn't have thought its temperatures are particularly exciting either. I mean, there's just not a huge amount to go on for May. This is how June is looking, and we start the summer possibly on quite a dodgy sort of note. We've got a ridge here through the Central Atlantic and going up towards south of Greenland. There is a bit of a ridge over Scandinavia as well. Otherwise, very weak pressure. I suspect there's a trough, though, within the 700 millibar flow. So, that could be a rather cool and unsettled signal for June, I think, with the jet stream doing something like that. Really not a very good start to the summer at all there. We go through to July. Now, we're at month 5, so it's just for fun. This is what we see for July. We've got some above average heights towards Scandinavia, and again, over there. And then we've got above average heights through the Central Atlantic. That seems to be a feature, really, from May onwards. Above average heights in the central part of the Atlantic Ocean, not doing much for us. And that's a displaced Azores high, I would have thought, in the Central Atlantic. So, the jet stream's probably going something a bit like that. Again, it might not be all that good, I don't think, in July, but probably better than June. And we would at least have the chance of some warmer or hotter conditions from sort of the east and the southeast. But overall, the pressure anomaly is looking rather weak here for the early part of the summer. So I would have thought probably quite unsettled. And then August finishes it all off. This is month 6, and this will be a very disappointing end to the summer, because we've actually got a trough of below average heights almost over the top of the country. There's still that ridge there through the central northern Atlantic and up here as well. And so the jet stream is going rather like that. We're still on the cold side of jet stream. And it just looks pretty cool and unsettled there, really, to end the summer. So, rather disappointing summer, you have to say. And spring starts off quite cold as well. So this is right, big if, of course. It's a small word, but it means a lot. But if this is right, we're looking at a rather cool 6 months coming up, actually, because we started off really quite cold, I think, in March. And there'll be some warmer months at times, but overall pretty cool conditions, especially as we get through to the summer. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies that go with those height anomalies. So this again is for March 2018. And we see that much of Northern Europe, the British Isles included, is coming out colder than average for March. So there we go. There is a few, but the CFS V2 never shows cold conditions. But certainly at the moment, anyway, the CFS is definitely forecasting a colder than average March. Excuse me, again. Not just for British Isles and Ireland, but for much of Northern Europe as well. The warmth is really down in the south and southeast of Europe. You expect a cold month because we are on the cold side of the jet stream. The jet stream is down here, and then we've got the blocking feature going on up here. So that's pushing down cold air from the north and from the northwest and the northeast, and there's low pressure also coming through with jet stream. So it all shapes up to be quite a cold and wintry month, I think, in March. That's how April looks. Very little to go on in terms of the temperature anomaly for April, just coming out close to average. Far northern reaches of Europe, a little bit warmer than average up there. Iceland, a little bit warmer than average. But other than that, not really much to go, just an average, I suspect, rather cool signal still, really, in April, just less so than in March. May looks a little bit better. The temperatures are lifting up and recovering a bit, so much of Europe comes out with a warmer than average temperature anomaly in May, although the UK and Ireland is nothing special, really, it's just close to average there, but perhaps a little bit more potential for something a bit warmer in May. That's June, and again, that one looks quite disappointing. We're up month 4 now, so it's not really worth worrying about. And by the way, summer 2018 updates will begin from next month. We're going to do the spring 2018 forecast a week tomorrow, and then summer updates will begin from March. So not long to go at all now until we start ramping up towards summer at Gav's Weathervids, in terms of the long-range updates anyway. But anyway, the temperature anomaly from CFS V2 for June, that's coming out average, possibly hinting at being a little bit colder than average, if anything. That's July. So I said there's probably a little bit more potential for some warmth in July. The reason is that we centre a ridge over Scandinavia, although pressure did look quite weak still in July actually, but there is more potential to possibly get wind into the east or the southeast in July, which could be a little bit warmer, especially for northern Europe. But then August, we go back to that very poor looking average temperature signal again. Certainly these temperature anomalies for the next 6 months are the coolest set that we've had for quite some time on these CFS 6 months. Although it's only March at the moment, it's coming out colder than average. Really all of these months up to August are struggling, for the UK anyway, to do anything particularly warm. July holds the greatest potential, but it's 5 months away. And even that, in terms of the height anomaly, didn't look brilliant. And then we finish off with precipitation. So these are the precipitation anomalies for March. So we find that a real north-south split across Europe, actually. Northern parts of Europe are coming out drier than average. Southern Europe, though, is coming out wetter than average, and the reason is that the jet stream is down here. We've got a southerly tracking jet stream going on, taking low pressure into southern Europe. Then we've got all of the high pressure blocking things out up here, which leads to a cold month. We know that you go for a cold and average temperature anomaly for March, with the wind regularly coming from a northerly direction. So it's a dry and cold month overall in March, but with wintry potential, because of course cold air holds less moisture than warm air, but that doesn't mean that there won't be any precipitation. And what precipitation there is might be snowy. It might be a snowier than average March this year if CFS V2 is right. April signals very weak all round really for April. Still hinting at being a little bit on the drier than average side, I think, for the UK anyway. The pattern that's delivering that is changing a little bit though. So the ridge looks like it's possibly more down here, but also we do still have the leftover ridge over Scandinavia, I think, so it's a little bit drier average there. So I think the temperatures do stage a bit of a recovery in April. They get back closer to what you would expect in April, which is, of course, it's middle of spring, so it's going to be reasonably mild. But again, bear in mind, we are struggling to get a particularly warmer than average signal for April, and we're only talking about close to normal temperature and precipitation anomalies. That's May, and despite the fact that May looked like it could be a bit of a warmer month compared to the other two spring months, and remember that's to average, it's also quite an unsettled month. So pattern changes again in May, and it delivers us slightly wetter than average conditions, particularly for Scotland and Ireland. It looks as though much of Central and Western Europe also coming out wetter than average. France is wetter than average, which of Germany wetter than average. So I assume there's got to be some sort of influence from the jet stream coming through into that sort of direction. It's a very bizarre looking chart, remember, height anomaly in May, so very complicated month, but I assume we are having an influence from the jet stream from the Atlantic, so it is a little bit more unsettled. And then this is June, and this doesn't look good at all. In June, remember, it looked like we got a trough of low pressure within the 700 millibar flow. So it looks like we've got a bit of a dip in the jet stream, rather like that. And I think we see the evidence of that with the precipitation anomalies, because much of northern Europe is coming out wet and average. Okay, England and Wales is close to average with precipitation, but Scotland and Ireland is wetter. France, substantially wetter than average. Belgium, Holland, substantially wetter than average. Germany, wetter than average. It looks like that's a very unsettled, and I would have thought rather cool start to the summer. And then this is July, and again, this just brings into the fact that the height anomaly was rather dodgy, even in July. This is the best that we get through the summer. But we've got a dry and average conditions over Scandinavia. But notice again, the UK quite wet, really, especially focused on England and Wales, much of Central Europe, quite wet as well. It is a rather warmer month, and because we've got a ridge up here, we're possibly getting some influence from the east and the southeast, so maybe a rather wet, sort of thundery month, maybe, in July. Could be a lot of thunderstorms, perhaps, being brought in on those southeasterly winds. But again, I have to emphasise, it's 5 months away, it's a long way out, but it does look rather poor even in July. And then August just rounds it all off, 6 months away, so just for fun. But again, remember, in August, we've virtually got a trough of low pressure over top of the country, bringing the jet stream through. Looks like a very disappointing summer, I have to say, at the moment with CFS V2. This is a long way off. Haven't even issued the Gauss-Levy spring forecast yet. Haven't really started thinking about summer at all, except that update that we did last month, where we looked at summers ending with the number 8, in years ending with the number 8. Many of those were very poor summers, so this is going to be another one of those dodgy summers in a year ending in the number 8. It's too early to say that, but certainly I think the CFS V2 at the moment, at this early stage, is going for really quite a disappointing summer. We'll worry not about that. Let's come back to the next 3 months, which covers the spring. So we're starting off cold. If CFS is right, we're going to have a cold March. There is wintry potential in there as well. April and May are all rather more uncertain. The anomalies look a bit odd, especially for May. In April, I think we see a recovery in the temperature. I don't think we have it as cold as it could be in March. Temperatures return close to average, but probably nothing to get excited about, and probably just close to what you'd expect in typical April, which can be quite a nice month. And then we go through to May, and whilst the temperatures look a little bit better in May, we might have a slightly warmer than average month. Also looks more unsettled, and then that carries on increasingly so into the summer months. So not a great CFS 6 months look ahead for anybody wanting a spell of very warm weather in the next 6 months, because it all looks rather cool and unsettled, I'm afraid. But there we go, that's just what CFS is showing this month. It may all look very different next month. This model is prone to chopping and changing at just weekly timeframes, never mind sort of 6 monthly time frame, so don't worry about the summer stuff in particular. I think what we want to focus on actually is the chance of a cold March, because it's quite a strong signal there that we could be in for it a little bit in March, so maybe some quite cold wintry conditions delaying the spring if CFS is right. Okay, that's all for now. Don't forget to check out Weekend Forecast if you haven't yet done so. There may be another video coming up later on this evening. Tomorrow we've got some more spring analogues, and we'll also have the Gauss-Levy Sunday Roundup. I suspect there'll be an Ensembles Watch in there as well, so keep checking back for all of the updates. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.